It's good to be back again on a great Tuesday on your show. There's something about Tuesdays. Recall a whole lot has happened on Tuesday last year. I still can remember what the vice president, then he was in acting capacity when President Muhammadu Buhari went on vacation, and it had to do with the SARS. And just last Tuesday again, Nigeria has been gifted with a new Inspector General of Police. 1 week on the saddle, and I know the expectations are still very much high on that one. But again, this is 2019, the year many politicians have been waiting for. So they have two big elections in the month of February and as well as in the month of March. Welcome to Political Stew. But today, for the next few weeks, we'll not be having this in the kitchen because now it's really getting hotter. We had to leave the kitchen and move out. I'm Sulaiman Alede. Welcome to the show. Welcome properly if you didn't catch the first moment when we started off. This is Political Stew, and the excitement has always been when I have young Nigerians who are getting into politics away from the comfort of their businesses to see how they can actually give their own. Today we're being joined live here by Shina Peller. Good to have you join me.
It's a pleasure.
Well, there's something about that constituency which you represent. I want you to say that I can only remember the first one, Iseyin.
It's called Iseyin Itesiwaju Kajola Iwajewa Federal Constituency.
That's a big one.
It's a very big one.
And I get to see the big crowd when you go out.
Yeah, it's a big crowd. Like I say, politics is very, very big.
Let's start, because many Nigerians will be amazed, especially those that are not in Oyo State. Few friends and other people not in Oyo, they already know that you're going into politics, but the entire Oyo, there is a gog. They say Shina Peller is in politics. Now, for those who, the discerning minds who have always known you as a businessman, an entrepreneur, could you tell us why you have decided to go into politics?
Why I've decided to go into politics is because I think that it's time for me to yield to the call of my people. My people have been yearning for my call, to come into politics for about 3-4 years now. And it's something that I've never seen myself in. But like the same thing, one of my other businesses is I'm a nightclub. I never saw myself opening a nightclub, and I ended up opening a nightclub and, made a successful brand. So I just see politics as, something that we should not be discouraged not to do, because I never thought of doing politics, but it got to a stage because of the amount of pressure from my people, the kings from my region, even people from various political parties. And it gets to a stage that I'm beginning to, be scared that for me to say no, I kept saying no to people, and I don't want it to be something that I'll regret in the future. And at the same time, looking at the present condition of our country, and I just feel that the days of the social media politics or armchair politics is over. So I decided to just throw my hat in the ring and see what we can, do from it.
And why the APC?
Yeah, going into politics, the most delicate part of my decision is actually deciding the party, that I want to work with.
So it was a little bit difficult.
Yeah, like I say to people, the most delicate part of a man's life is the decision making. Some people have made a good decision and they are in the very best situation in life today, and some had made a wrong decision one day and they are in the worst possible situation in life. So decision making to me is very key, and I had to, first of all, as a politician, when I decided to say I've been running for an office, I decided to take my interest out of the whole, the whole thing, and focus more on the interest of the people. So the APC, I see the APC as a government that is already in progress. I'll call APC a work in progress. Let's just use an aeroplane for an example. When the aeroplane wants to take off, you see the hostesses walking around checking everybody, make sure that you're on your seatbelt. And when the plane taxis, it gets to a position, waits to get the approval from the control towers, then get that approval, then the plane begins to move at a very high speed before the plane takes off. And after the plane takes off, you see the plane climbing, through the sky and everything until it attains the position called the autopilot. So I see this present government as a government that is, has just been able to attain that position of autopilot. So for me to go into politics, I joined an opposition party, is like I want to start the process all over again, And in fairness to this present government, I feel that for you to vote for a president, in Nigeria, or for a party at the presidential level in Nigeria, I think it is just normal to at least give a space of at least that 2 terms, because number one, when a government takes power, the government will use at least a major part of their time suffering from the effect from the previous government.
Mr. Peller, I'm not even surprised you get into that, because I think a little bit had already told me that you're a strong supporter of President Buhari. Yeah. Why is that so?
I have my reasons. For me, I'll say that I'm beginning to participate actively in politics now, and that is why you can see me vying for a seat at the National Assembly. And right now, I cannot compare our participation in the political terrain to, previously to what is happening now. Like for me, I've never seen myself as a politician. Now I'm here. By the grace of God, I'll win my election. And I'm looking at, there is a limit to what we can do. 2019, the election is just, about a few weeks away. So there is a limit to what's, to our participation. But I see us participating more. I mean, when I say us, I mean the youth, participating more in 2023. And I see President Buhari as the only person that can give us that level ground to play in 2023.
Talking about your people, and you're talking about what you can bring for your people, you're going into the National Assembly in Abuja, and that's what you asked your people to give to you. And so far, you've started doing some, projects even before this moment. You've done a whole lot. There was a time news, I watched, of you going into the NYSC camp. And pretty much later, I think there was a hostel you gifted to the NYC. What informed that? Because one would have thought you're not going into the executive arm of government. You're going in as a lawmaker, but you've started giving out to the people.
Yes, truly, the primary obligation of a legislator is to make laws. But I believe that making sure that my people have the basic needs, is still something that I should be able to, to be responsible for. I've always been a philanthropist. I've done a lot, even as a philanthropist. I've done a lot on my own. And going there, I want to tackle the problem affecting my people. And I've seen that there's so much, that these people need. When I remember what prompted me to actually donate a hostel to the NYSC during the Congress time. I remember that we went to some areas, in the saying, and I saw, I got to schools, they had no teachers and everything like that. And for me, that already made up my mind that I'll be vying for a seat in the National Assembly. I just saw it as maybe an opportunity for me to just, to be able to jump the gun, because, I believe that I'll be there. So I believe that, so why can't I just start, representing my people now and providing what they need. So the hostel, by the time I provide hostel for NYSC, and when I become a member of representatives, I'll be able to, to be able to ask the NYSC to be able to, give us more teachers. They cannot tell me that you don't have more teachers when I provided hostel for you on behalf of my people.
So you're passionate, your passion, right, lies in seeing that your people have good education.
Yeah, definitely. Good education. And apart from that, infrastructural development, there are areas that have got no water. And if I decided to give, we have 4 local governments under my constituency, and I decided to give 4 bowls, to each of the local government. This, I just want people to see that this is the least I can do. If I can do this on my own, then you should be able to know what I can do when I'm doing.
Well, for some will say, perhaps when he gets there, he will stop because there won't be anything left for him to do.
There's a lot to do.
Now let's talk about your plans for your people, because they're expectant and they're looking forward to listening to you and perhaps maybe any other person who approaches them. What are the selling points from you, Shina Abiola Peller, that will make the people of Iseyin, Itesiwaju, help me with the other 2?
Kajola and Iwajoa.
What are those selling points that will make them queue up on that day and cast a ballot on you, for you?
First of all, I'm a successful businessman. I did an analysis on the people that we have in political offices right now, and I noticed that we have more people that were nothing, that there are people that politics made more in the system than people that were actually something before they went into politics. So, and I think that Nigeria can begin, Nigeria will definitely get better when you have more people that are self-made, in their various line of businesses.
Outside politics.
Yeah, outside politics before joining politics. Like they say, for some that operate a successful business, we run a successful government. So with my experience in government and in business, I believe this will really help me a lot to be able to give my people purposeful representation. And something that is very, very important again is my family name. This is something that is very important as well. My dad has always been a philanthropist all over his life. He's been somebody that has been promoting Iseyin, Tesiwaju, the whole region of Okeogun, during his lifetime. And he has really tried a lot in helping people. The name is something that that I believe has really helped me a lot, because most of all my campaigns where I go to, maybe I just meet maybe one big chieftain and everything like that. The first thing he says is that for the fact that you are Peller's son, at least we're going to give you that support, because your dad has done so well and he has never had anybody say anything.
This is coming at a time where young people have actually dipped their hands into so many dirty piles, and if your father's name is already a selling point for you, you should also be worried of the kind of young people that you also groom, more so your own children. So when you get there, what kind of Nigeria are you looking to gift the people as a lawmaker when ultimately you become elected?
The kind of Nigeria that I want to give people, I want a Nigeria that is self-sustainable, and this is one thing that makes me to align with the ideology of this present government, because I see this present government as a government that wants Nigeria to be self-sustainable. And because if you look at China for an example, China has a market to consume every product, all the services that they have. So that way, there's no room for importation, of whether services or goods. So that's one thing that I really want to do as well with Iseyin, Tesiwaju, Kajola, Iwajoa. I want to create a land where peace, unity, and progress reigns. And these 3 factors are the key factors for you to be able to develop any community. I want to create a model constituency that every other constituency in Nigeria will be able to emulate. I want to create a land where business will thrive, where when we're in government, I can say that I can be able to use my influence to talk to every department of the government in order to make sure that we create an enabling environment for business to thrive. I want to be able to convince people to see my constituency as a place to come to set up your business. And this way I'll be able to create a better life for my people, create jobs for the youth, and at the same time be able to liberate the women from poverty.
Does it bother you that we have representatives who don't really live amongst the people, who is not in touch with the people? Because I see that even the tailors, the mechanics, the artisans, everyone is endorsing you and it's right there. But if these people ultimately put their ballot, for you, how are they going to have access to you when you ultimately, because once people get in there, you've seen them. In Nigeria, it's almost a given, like a culture. Once they get in there, they are inaccessible.
For me, it is not all about access. For me, it is all about structure. If you have the right structure in place, you will be accessible at the end of the day. Because when your structure functions, then it means that you're accessible. Like I said, my constituency divided into 4 local government. I am setting up my empowerment program right now. And with this empowerment program, the most important thing to me is structure. So what I've done is I've engaged the service of 21 young men from my constituency, young men and women from my constituency. I put out, an advert for job application, and we received about 175 entries. 175 entries, and I made sure that the recruitment process, was transparent. I had about at least 5 different people. I had a panel, that actually conducted the interview, for them, and I was able to engage, to pick 21 people. So what I've done with these 21 people is I divided each local government into 4 different zones. So, and I have one person that lives in that zone to represent that zone as a zonal coordinator. So in total, I have 16 zonal coordinators. So the 16 zonal coordinators, then after that I have 4 local government coordinators, then 1 person to be the Shina empowerment administrator. So the structure is this: the 16 zonal coordinators are the one that are open to talk to everybody. Whatever you want to say to me, you can. We are going to have offices in these 4 local government for the Shina empowerment for empowerment program. When you go into this office and you are from a certain area, right behind the person is going to be an open plan office. Once you enter, right behind the person, you can see under what zone that your area falls. Then you go and talk to that person, and whatever that person does, then the 4 of them reports to the local government supervisor. Then the 4 local government supervisors report to the Shina empowerment administrator. This is a structure that I've put in place. That I believe that with that structure, nobody from my constituency can say that they do not have access to me.
I love inclusive government, and that's why I would like to find out the gender makeup of this. Do you have women, ladies amongst these 21?
Definitely, yeah. I have, I think I have 2 or 3 females, yeah.
So how does it feel like when you go out campaigning? Because this is an era where Nigeria is saying that no more money politicking. When you go out, do people ask, Shina Peller, could you give us some money before we cast our ballot for you?
No, there has never been that kind of approach, but definitely, this is Nigeria. If anyone sees you, they want to owe you and just feel like you give them something. But for me, I've tried as much as possible, to advise my people, to disengage from vote selling, because I explained something to them. I remember even giving them an analysis. I used Dangote as an example. I said Dangote is the richest person in Africa. If Dangote wants to run for the president of Nigeria today, for Dangote to give you 10,000 naira as one electorate to go to vote for him, it means that he will be spending about 840 billion. So it is, which means it's impossible. You understand? So I now say to them that even that's if someone gives you 10,000 naira. So 10,000 naira, what you should know is once you vote for that person, you have no control over that person for the next 4 years. So divide that 10,000 naira into 4, it's 2,500. Divide it into a day, is 70 kobo. So do you think that he watched you selling your vote?
Well, I think the business says, well, I'll come back to your business aspect because I still would come back before we wrap up because people are still amazed to see you come into politics. Now, for the party leadership, you know, this is another aspect that Nigerians worry about. They just may say, okay, when you get in there, you truly represent them. But they're worried sometimes within some political structures that we have people who are the puppet masters.
Cabals?
Whatever name we've chosen to call them.
Like for me, I have my reasons why I even decided to run for the House of Representatives. You know, I really want to create a structure that I believe that we don't have. And for us to be able to do that, it has to be transparent. It's not going to be a structure that even myself, me, the creator of the structure, would not be able to affect it in any way. You know, which I think.
So you can't hijack it and say, "This is my structure. I made it."
You cannot hijack it. You know, like I said, for example, I'll go back to the Shina Empowerment Program again. What I did with Shina Empowerment Program is, after setting up the structure, I've decided to set up businesses. You understand, to businesses that will be a support, the backbone for the structure. The people that will work there needs to be paid. If you set up any system in Nigeria and you don't set up the system to be free of corruption, then the system is going to die. If you set up a system and you think the system should be 100% dependent on you, then what if something happens to you tomorrow? The worst thing in life is death. It is inevitable. So for you to be able to set up a continuous system, a system that can function by itself, then you should try as much as possible to take it completely away from yourself. So that is the same thing, my ideology going into politics. I wanted to start something from scratch. You understand? I do not want to, like a builder that is taking over a skyscraper building from a 3rd floor. You don't know the integrity of the foundation. But starting as a member of Rep, I know that just with 4 local governments, I should be able to put in the right structure and should be able to put in the right policies and be able to implement it. It will be easy for me to do with just 4 local governments. And from there, the people can see what we've started. And if they want it to continue, then we start talking about.
Now you're talking about building and structures. Perhaps I think this is the time I will want my producers to actually put up some pictures I actually secretly got, and those are pictures, and perhaps tell us about those pictures going on now. That's Abuja.
Oh, you know, like one of the things I do, you know, I didn't get to introduce myself properly at the beginning.
I was going to do that.
So I'm the chairman of Peller Group of Companies. You know, a group that has subsidiaries in oil and gas, in building and construction, and of course entertainment. Quilux is a brand that I created myself. Even the word Quilux means redefinition. I would say I revolutionized nightlife in Nigeria. So it's something I've got passion for. Even I know there are 2 things that we can do together. Once you're in government, you're working for the government, I cannot be able to give to the business what it requires. But at the same time, I have my vision for the business as well. So my plan for Quilux is for Quilux to be a Pan-African brand. Is for Quilux to have branches all over Nigeria, at least South, Abuja, another maybe, you know, in the north and all. So it's always part of the plan.
So those pictures are the one,
that's the one
Abuja.
That's the one in Abuja.
So that's Quilux in Abuja.
We're building from scratch. It's going to be the, I'm sure it's going to be the best nightlife, you know, the nightlife spot in Africa.
You know, you know what comes really readily to mind has to do with I'm thinking about, you know, people having problems, people not being able to express themselves. And once upon a time we woke up and Nigerians started having, you know, friends, relatives and neighbors, you know, who are highly depressed. And if you look at your entertainment arm, which you just mentioned now, would you say that has actually helped, you know, to give us a better society by helping cure depression?
Definitely, it has. Definitely, in different ways. It's helped us to resolve unemployment issues as well. You know, we pay taxes to the government. It helps, you know, the government in generating revenue, in IGR. And depression is something that we know that is so bad. And myself, I've recorded several occasions where I've even had to see that something is wrong with a customer at Quillox, and you just see the person sitting and drinking and everything like that. Sometimes I just, you know, grab a chair and I decide to just have a chat with such person. And after our conversation, you see that the person even appears to be a better person, is more excited about life and everything. So, you know, it's a business that needs to be celebrated more than it is, you know, the way it is now.
Before I leave this arm of business and come back and close on politics, and I'm not done with your father, I really must go back there. How soon is Abuja likely to get this gift of Quillox?
Definitely this year, by the grace of God. Yeah, we just completed the first stage, and
this is 2019.
The second stage is being commissioned as we speak, and I'm sure by my target is October this year.
Now to your father, because even I, growing up, I loved, you know, the soft cell. I read a whole lot about him and all that. For those who do not know Professor Peller, he was a great man, right?
He was a great man.
What would you say you were able to, you know, is there a part of him in you that we can actually look into and say, truly, apart from the looks and maybe the color, that truly this is Peller's son?
Yeah, definitely magic. Magic. I say to people, like, what I've done in the entertainment industry is magical. You know, we've gone to the entertainment industry to perform magic. Now we're in the political terrain, and what we'll do is still magic. We'll do things that people believe that cannot be done. You know, I learned a lot from my dad. Not to want to satisfy everybody. You know, that's one thing that my dad does. You know, he knows that I'm a perfectionist. I try as much as possible to be perfect in everything I do. I try as much as possible to want to convince everybody to understand whatever I want to do. So one thing that that I learned from my dad is to understand that you cannot satisfy everybody. That was one. Secondly, the business part, you know, of my life, you know, is something that I would say that I got from my dad. Because when we're very young, when we're at school, whenever we're on vacation, we always go with him to his tour, his magical tour, and we help him. I remember that I work with him on promotions. I work with him even on the stage as stage assistant, and even there was a time that we had a theft, you know, between the people selling the tickets, and you know, just say that sometimes the whole auditorium is full, and after the show they tell you, they sold this amount of tickets. I remember him telling me to come up with like a verification process, you know, to be able to put the people, you know, in the ticket office on check. So I remember that time that we decided to start printing a ticket that has two sides. So when people come in, I'll be the one to take a part of it, so that I'll be able to use that to cross-check with
the other.
Yeah, with the other one. So I would say that I learned a lot.
That's more like an audit.
Yeah, that's it. So I learned a lot from it.
Well, I think I'm not meant to say this, but I'll say I think, well, I sneaked into Quillox, and I must say Quillox is one of the best ever.
Thank you.
Because we've seen clubs all over the world. I think what's close to Quillox is just one in Miami. So, in closing, when and if you do get there, I've not even asked you why you're this optimistic. Why do you think you'll win? Don't tell me it's magic.
You know, for whatever that a man do in life, he should be able to be optimistic. You know, I'm somebody that once I make up my mind to do something, I don't believe in time wasting. You know, I'm sure I'm not wasting my time. It's not something that I've ever saw myself I wanted to do. I remember I've granted few interviews about politics that I've said I would never get involved in politics. And when I had reasons to change my mind, you know, I changed my mind. And for me to change my mind, I know God has a reason for it. You know, I know God has a reason for it. So I'm very, very optimistic that it's going to work. You know, and it's going to be the beginning of, you know, a better Nigeria.
Well, come February 16, it just might be magic for you.
It will.
Shina Peller, many thanks for coming on Political Stew.
Thank you so much. It's good.
Well, we'll take a moment. When we come back, we'll be speaking with a lady. Guess what? She's also from Oyo State, and she wants to go to Abuja. Stay with us.